All right, welcome to a special edition of Whyspace. Today, Becca is parasailing around Hawaii and running in the fields where the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park were. Me some videos yesterday. She said she didn't see any dinosaurs though. But we have our first guest on the show, Arron.
Hello.
And full disclosure, if you don't know me or us, for the 31 listeners we now have in Alaska, whoever you are that don't know me, Arron is my husband. So he's not just some random guy we picked up on the street. At least for the show, that's how we met. But otherwise, today will be different. Becca's not here, so y'all bear with us. Arron, just a brief reminder and a reminder to our new listeners, because there's a lot of you. This show does not focus on rumors and speculation, and unless a person has said it themselves or posted it themselves, we don't preach it like it's the gospel here. So
yeah.
Sometimes that's a little hard, but we'll run with it. We'll have the same stuff that we normally talk about on here with Becca. We've got sports. We've got entertainment. We'll, of course, have Taylor talk. We'll do the question game, and we will do the Y factor. So, Arron, are you ready?
Yes, they may be praying for you after this, though.
We need all the help we can get there. Okay, Arron, so Becca normally picks. Do you want to start with sports or entertainment?
Let's go and get to the sports.
All right. So, also full disclosure, in our home, I'm probably more into sports than Arron is, or at least in a different way. So you'll get to see that dynamic. But Arron, first question. You are someone who has said before that sporting events in person are of more interest to you than watching on TV. Why is that?
You can't feel the energy of the crowd. You can't feel the energy of the moment. It's lost on me when watching it. You know, I see people online getting angry and throwing stuff at TVs. It doesn't affect me that way. But when I'm there and I see it happen in real time, something comes over me and I feel that energy and I'm rooting just like everybody else.
Okay. And so I guess in the past year, we've been to some NBA games. We've been to NFL games. We've been to some major league games. What is your favorite sport to see in person?
To see in person, it would probably be, it's a toss up between baseball and football. And part of the thing is I went to baseball games before we actually met, surprisingly.
Right. Yeah.
And they were boring, but they were the Rangers. So who knew?
Yeah. Got it.
But yeah,
okay.
The Royals are exciting, but watching Kansas City Chiefs play is pretty exciting as well.
Agreed. All right. So one thing we do as a family, we have a fantasy football league every year with a bunch of our friends. I guess we've been doing it probably 5 or 6 years at least now.
Yes.
Maybe even longer. I don't know.
It's longer.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, Arron and I kind of have a different love of sports and way we approach sports. If you watch the show, you know, and Becca's like this, kind of consumed with sports. And so when fantasy football rolls around, we're both super competitive. I think I'm probably more competitive than you.
Yes. Yes.
But we also approach fantasy football completely differently. And there's good and bad to that. So 2 years ago, Arron did win our fantasy football league because miracles still happen today. But in this past year, I got robbed in the finals. But I've kind of always been like in the top 3. But Arron, other than 2 years ago, has usually been in the bottom 3. So I don't know if it's our approach, but like I come to fantasy football draft and like I know all the players. I've watched tons of their games, tons of their footage. I know a lot of their stats. I know their teammates. If you watch the show, you know I know their personal lives. Like I know too much. Arron comes in my opinion, kind of new to the scene.
I'm glad you brought this up because there's an asterisk next to those losses that I've had in the past.
Oh no, I hope This isn't
And,
going where I think it's going.
and the asterisk is, you know where it's going. The asterisk is, every time I've lost, I listen to you about my quarterback.
Okay, in my defense, I sold him on Eli Manning when Eli was still playing, and
3 years in a row. 3 years in a row.
He let Arron down, but he also has more rings than a lot of quarterbacks. So I'm just saying I wasn't wrong.
No, she was sabotaging me because she knew that I was a threat. Because everybody else on my team is scoring 20, 15, 20 points. And Eli Manning's like 3, 5.
Listen, it's about the wins,
saying.
the team wins, not the individual stats.
Well, it's expecting 22 points and getting 3 causes a lot of losses.
So this question comes from Becca, though. You have to draft your fantasy football team for this year in 4 main positions, and you can only use rookies. So we're going to start at the quarterback position. And I will say, just based on your line of questioning to me yesterday about this question, I'm skeptical as to what answers you're going to provide, but we will see. And I will also share my answer. So let's start at quarterback. Who is your rookie quarterback that you would draft?
Wait, I need to explain something to the people out there, especially the people in Alaska, because we love you. I strictly look at stats. I'm not worried about anything else. I look at previous year's stats and I make a decision based on that, and also what the projected stats are for this year. Okay. I didn't really have that with this group, so the only thing I could go off of was their next gen score and their prospect score.
Okay, well, that's some research, though, so we can appreciate that.
Well, I'm a stats person. You know that.
Yep. Okay, so who's your quarterback?
Caleb Williams.
Oh, I can't wait for Becca to listen to this. Okay, can you give us your why?
Number one, his prospect score was good. He was a first-round draft pick, the first-round draft pick. And also, the man is supposedly a borderline genius and everything else as well. So...
Also note for the audio and for the audience, we may have 31 new listeners in Alaska, but we do not have one in Mission, Kansas that is married to me. He does not listen to the show, which based on that answer is comical to those of you who do listen. But go ahead, continue. Anything else you want to say about Caleb?
But that goes into one of my other people I picked as well.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. So we've talked a lot about Caleb on this show, and we'll see. I mean,
wait. What was the thought? What was the thought around Caleb?
Well, he's got a lot stacked against him. He's with the Bears, first of all.
Yes.
They have just not a great program, not a great team. They did get Keenan Allen and some people in, but so we'll see. He was a Heisman Trophy winner 2 seasons ago at USC. He was a transfer from Oklahoma. He did not win the Heisman this past season. He was projected to, but he didn't. He kind of had a lackluster season. He is apparently very brilliant. That is, a lot of people have said that. We've talked about Stephanie on this show. You know, my friend Stephanie in LA, and she's the queen of USC. And she says that everyone around him says he is brilliant. He is quirky. And he does not have good people around him. They say it's potentially just his dad, but I don't know. We'll see. I am not a Caleb fan, though, so we'll just see. So my quarterback pick, if you watch this show, you know that I love Michael Penix from Washington State. He is right now a backup in Atlanta behind Kirk Cousins, who's coming off of an Achilles injury, so we'll see. And he's old. But I actually didn't go with Michael Penix for this, which I'm sure Becca's going to be shocked. I went with Jaden Daniels, who is from LSU, who is the most recent Heisman winner. He's with the Washington Commanders, which again, terrible team. But it's I picked him because of that theory of big fish, little pond.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's got a chance to make a splash before Michael Penix will. But I do think Michael Penix is a quarterback of the future, so we'll see.
You know, the funny thing is, I didn't pick him specifically because he was on the Commanders. because
Well,
his
it's
story.
a valid point because a quarterback is really only as good as the people catching the ball. I mean,
Bam.
Patrick Mahomes is the greatest football player we have right now, but he also has people like Travis Kelce catching the ball. So it helps. I'm just
Not
saying.
not to mention, Caleb and him, they both have the same score, if not like 1 point difference, like 0.1 point difference.
Caleb and Patrick or Caleb and Jaden?
Jaden.
I was like, there's no way.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll see. That's a solid pick. Who is your running back?
Okay.
I'm scared.
Jonathan Brooks.
Okay.
First of all, he was the first running back drafted, and it was in the second round.
It's true. They went a whole round without a running back.
And also, Bryce Young is okay, but I don't think he has a lot of great receivers, so they will be using him effectively.
So this is an obvious spot where I actually assume I do know who you're picking for all of these because you are going off the stats. Jonathan Brooks is definitely the most highly rated running back. He's also coming off of an ACL injury. So
Exactly. Well, I was getting into that.
Okay, go ahead.
And I said, even though he had a torn ACL, he still went in the second round. And as the first running back, which shows his talent, he showed them something. Because normally, from what I saw, they normally like cut you 2 points if you had ACL, and they didn't do that to him, which means that he has the talent.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he does as long as he stays healthy. The problem's going to be that offensive line he has to run behind.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't pick him.
True.
So I actually went with a wild card. I went with Trey Benson from Florida State. He is at the Arizona Cardinals, and first of all, they have Kyler Murray as their quarterback, which is deplorable at best. They did draft Marvin Harrison Jr., who is going to have a phenomenal career as long as he can get a new quarterback other than Kyler. But I think he's going to get double teamed a lot, and so I think that's going to open Trey Benson up a lot. He is a backup technically to James Conner right now. But James Conner really hasn't had a big season in a long time, and he's really injury prone. So I went with Trey Benson.
Yeah, I looked at him actually, believe it or not. But
I'm telling you, we'll see. Okay, wide receiver.
I actually didn't go with the first person on the list with this one. I actually went with Rome.
This is the time you should have, probably.
No, I went with Rome Oduzun.
Ozundi. Okay, you went with the Bears again, huh?
Here's why. Caleb, sorry, not Caleb is going to be his quarterback. Also, Malik Neighbors, however you say his name, he's going to be playing for the New York Giants. And I just don't think that they have a good quarterback.
Because they don't, yeah.
Yeah. And so what can he do?
Either.
What can he do?
Yeah, well, I agree with those assessments. You're doubling down on the Bears, though, and you got to keep in mind that means you're going to have two main people on your fantasy team out on the same week.
Do I mean, of course, I'll have backups that are good.
Just saying.
My question is, do I potentially put my money on a really good receiver with a horrible quarterback? Or do I take a chance with two people who are supposed to be great, but we don't know? I'm not the type of person.
This is the flaw of fantasy football.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I'm not the type of person that picks the devil I know. I always go for the new option.
Got it. Okay. So I went with Xavier Worthy, that the Chiefs drafted. Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously the top wide receiver pick, but again, he has Kyler Murray throwing him the ball. He's one of like only a couple, if that, even reasonable targets for him. So he's going to be double teamed all season. So I went with Xavier Worthy because he's fast. He is so fast, and he has the chance to instantly make an impact with the Chiefs. Obviously, Rashee Rice will be suspended at least some portion of the season. The wide receiver position is obviously a problem for the Chiefs lately, and so I think he can step in. He has missed a lot of the mini camp with a hamstring injury, so I don't know about that part. I kind of think they're holding him out to not get hurt. But yeah, I went with him.
Well, and the thing about Kyler Murray, I was looking at his stats, and he's been doing progressive, not large, like a large like gap,
Hmm.
but his stats are going down each year.
Well, and he gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
It's not
So,
even confirmed yet that he's going to be able to start this season when
so
they
that's a
start.
so that's a very bold choice for you. Very bold.
No, I didn't go with him. I went with Xavier Worthy with the Chiefs.
Oh, Xavier Worthy with the Chiefs. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
I know better.
sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, tight end.
Brock Bowers.
I knew it. This is where it's so obvious you're going off stats, and then you'll be, and mine is clearly not. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, honestly, it was just his prospect grade and his next gen grade. He was rated elite. So I was like,
I mean, he
what?
is. I think he is, but again, he's with the Raiders, so you'll have to see what happens there. I
Yeah.
went with Jared Wiley, so I do have two Chiefs. So on that week that they're off, it won't be great. But he is billed as kind of like the next Travis, and he's gonna get to learn from Travis. Travis is always double, triple teamed. And again, the wide receiver issues. So I think that he's gonna have a great season. We'll see. And
We'll see.
Travis is getting older, as much as we don't want to admit that. So he can't play every down anymore. And so Jared's going to be able to step in. And you have Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball. It just makes sense.
Well, and Travis won't get hurt as much because he'll be playing.
I hope that is true. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a pretty decent team. I'm sure I'll win that season again. But let's talk about, so if you don't know Arron does love video games. I'm not a big video game person, but I do like to play Madden or FIFA. And Madden 25 is about to come out, which also, isn't this confusing? Because wasn't there a Madden 25 a few years ago, like the 25th year edition of it?
25th year edition, but not 25, I think.
Oh.
Wait, that's speculation. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's not speculation. That's just, we're always confused, especially on here if you ask us about time zones, utter confusion. But it's about to come out. The 99 Club was released. It's people like Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, people that you would expect. But there's been a few issues. And is it common for video games to have issues like perhaps racially identifying people in the game?
Okay. Just from a gaming experience situation, there's a similar, not misrepresenting a person's race, but there is an issue in a lot of games where if they use a person of color purposely, because I assume the misrepresentation of race was an accident. Well,
I mean, I would just assume, do we not have a QA team that like checks what we got going on?
I will tell you, a lot of gamers will rage quit. Like the recent Assassin's Creed is going to use an actual historical black samurai and a female ninja, and they have lost their mind on the internet. Like they have completely gone crazy. So yeah.
I'm surprised people aren't a little more outraged. There's always been the issues where they didn't quite look like the player or something was a little off, like maybe they're bigger or smaller. But like we have people who are African American who are Asian in the game, apparently.
Yeah, and so when I saw this, I thought you were talking about that Twitter post or X or whatever we're calling it now at this point, from that one person who was saying things about how it dehumanizes black people and glamorizes violence. I didn't know that they actually.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother take. No, we don't get into those kind of issues on this show. We don't like that.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. Will we?
No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in games. There's usually a QA team that gets the information correct, unless they're purposely doing a different race for buzz, basically.
Will we be purchasing Madden 25?
We will not.
Oh, okay.
And here it is. I'm just gonna say it. They haven't innovated really in 10 years. Like they're doing the same thing that we've been doing for 10 years. Like I want something different. I'm tired.
Are we gonna get like Do we get a little patch or something to the one we have that gives us all the new players?
Probably not, because the way gaming companies are
I don't know if I
moving.
agree with this family decision then.
Okay, we can get it, but I'm just saying you're paying for more of the same. It's like you Apple users, you're just
Oh,
paying
God.
for more of the same.
Stay on the script, man. We're not getting into that. Okay, so that's pretty much our sports wrap up for right now. There are some questions later on during the question game about sports, but are you ready to talk about entertainment?
I have been ready.
Okay. We've got two main topics in the entertainment. We always have a Taylor talk. I'm going to start with that because I feel like the second topic is going to take a little bit longer. But you have been privileged, Arron, to have actually seen the Eras tour twice. If you watch the show, we went to Minneapolis and we went to LA night 6. We were in Minneapolis night 2, so we were Dear John night and the 1989 night. So, Arron.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of the Eras tour and why?
It was the Midnight's era.
You're skipping all the way to the era already.
Oh,
okay, era.
No,
I just meant overall the entire Eras tour experience first. Let's start there.
Okay. So I would say that is the first time I've been in a situation where I've seen so much unity between people of different backgrounds that it's crazy. I just love seeing the people trade bracelets, be so kind to each other. Like she if you had said Taylor for president, I've been like, yes, in that moment. So yeah, it was really good situation to see. Also, for me as well, it was the things after the fact that I learned about her, giving all this money to all the people that work for her, donating to these cities. It really made me love her from all those things,
Yeah.
It made me give the music a chance as well.
Yeah, I could see that. So for me, if you watch the show, we've talked a lot about our experiences of going to the Eras tour, and hopefully more experiences to come this year. At least for me, I don't know if you'll go again, but I think for me, I agree. I think it's just a place where, like, even with 80,000 people, like, you still feel safe. I don't know if that makes sense, but like,
yes, that makes a
feel
lot
safe. I think that's my number one favorite part of the Eras tour outside of just Taylor and the music. But all right, let's talk about your favorite era. Obviously, you've said Midnights. Why is Midnights your favorite?
I love the court.
I was going to say in the Eras tour, let's not talk about albums. Let's talk about the Eras tour.
Yeah, I love the choreography. I love the costumes, stage transitions. I love the songs. It was a hard choice because the folklore era with the cabin.
Yeah.
That one was like near and dear to my heart as well. But I really like the choreography and everything with that.
Yeah. I don't know that Becca and I have ever talked about my favorite era from the actual Eras tour. Maybe we have a little bit. It's hard because now, having watched the live streams of the show, now that Tortured Poets Department is out, it's like blows me out of the water. So I can't wait to see that live. But pre all of that, I don't even know if I can pick. I have like thoughts about all of them. I wish the Lover era was longer. It ends quickly. And also there's been a lot of changes to the Eras tour since you and I went. Folklore and Evermore is now one.
No.
I mean, the cabin's still there, but it's all one. 1989 is just iconic, and I think because we were at LA night 6 when she announced 1989 Taylor's version and came out in the blue, and then it was like obvious and everyone knew. I think it's just going to always be iconic to me. But I think I'm going to go with the Reputation era.
I did love that one too.
Because I don't know. Again, we joke that now we're at like 103, maybe 4 shows, and we still have the same Reputation outfit, but it's just iconic, and I don't know. I think that's my favorite one. What is your favorite song for? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Wait, on the Reputation part as well. Like, it had some of the really great choreography as well. Like using the screen from the platform to break up a car. It had really great songs. The
That's
dances.
1989 when they break the
Mm,
car.
I thought that was what you made me do.
No, it's not.
Oh, and I'm wrong. Then yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay, well, tried to save you.
yeah.
All right, what is your favorite song from the Eras Tour? And I'm curious because I'm afraid of what you're going to say because I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you that it's no longer on there if it's what I think you're going to say.
You better not tell me Karma's gone.
Oh, okay, no, never mind.
Okay,
I
so it's
thought you were going to say the one.
So
Okay.
because it yes, yes, and it breaks my heart that it's gone now. Thank you
Yep.
for telling me that. But
Yep.
that was primarily the reason that it was a toss up between Folklore and that.
And
But
Midnight. Okay.
yeah, but I love Lavender Haze and I love Karma. Those are the two. It's a toss up between. I love Karma especially because they ended the show on that note. And can I
It's
say,
perfect.
yeah, the confetti, the explosions, the fireworks, and you feel like you just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And honestly, that was the moment that I said I would go watch it again. When that happened,
Yeah, it's still intact.
It's so explosive, it makes your brain tingle.
Yeah, I actually picked Karma too because of just the experience when Karma happens, like you said, the confetti, and it's just like I feel like it's like the first time in the show that I actually like fully breathe.
Oh my goodness, you were
Because it's like
hyperventilating every
taking it
time.
all in. I don't know. I will reserve the right to change my answer when I see it this year, though, because I just know it's either going to be "But Daddy, I Love Him" or "The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived." I just
Well, I'm actually afraid to go see this again with you because last time you like almost shook me into a coma and kept like beating my arm. Hey, she's doing it! She's doing it! And it's just like, oh my god, I'm getting beat up over here. So yeah, I'm kind of terrified to watch it with you again.
Well, you'll be fine. It's fine. Okay. Now, not talking about the Eras Tour, let's talk about Taylor's music in general. What is your favorite Taylor album and why?
Midnight,
Okay.
because that was the first one I truly got into.
Okay.
Like I've liked some of her songs here and there, but
Yeah.
I honestly had never really truly heard a full album from her until Midnights, and that was the one that really got me into her music. Plus, I love the synth sounds and the complete feel of the album.
Yeah.
You may not agree. I think Antihero is a banger.
We've talked about
It's
it a
a
lot on the show. Becky
banger.
does too. She'll be happy to hear you say it.
Yeah, Lavender Haze is a banger. Karma is just amazing. Like literally, you can end any movie with Karma because it just
Okay,
works.
Karma original or Karma with Ice Spice?
If y'all can't tell, I gave her the look, like really, the really look. Like, come on, really? No, the original, the
Okay.
original.
So my answer today is Tortured Poets Department, because the entire album is just, and I mean the entire anthology, not just the first one, it's mind blowing. I'm still not over a lot of it, but if we're talking about pre-TTPD, I am going to say Folklore, which kind of
That's
is
good
in the
choice.
same vibe as TTPD, not near as angry, but I do enjoy it a lot. What is your favorite Taylor song?
Okay, maybe unpopular, maybe popular. I don't know. It would have to be Safe and Sound. When
Oh,
I
I
was
knew you were going to say that. Yep.
like, I don't care how old I am, where I'm at in life. Safe and Sound will always be my number one song. When I was going through traumatic life things, it was the song that was kind of like my security blanket. It made me want for a love like that. And it helped me stop accepting relationships where I wasn't loved like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said on here before that that's your favorite. So I'm glad that you backed me up with that. So my all-time favorite will always and forever be Clean. We've talked about it a lot on here before that for me, it has a lot to do with my journey with anxiety. But I will say with TTPD, But Daddy, I Love Him is really close to the top now.
It's not Florida.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. All right, so this is a good one that kind of meshes your other love of Disney Marvel type stuff. Some people are saying that Taylor should no longer be compared to other pop stars, but to entities instead, like Disney or Marvel. Now, as a Marvel fan, why do you agree or disagree?
I'm not only a Marvel fan, I'm also a Disney fan. So I'll go there. Poppycock. And here's what I'll say. I do agree she's a phenomenon that we haven't seen since like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are no theme parks named Taylor Swift Land.
Yet. I'm sure it's coming.
I'm giving her the really look again, just in case y'all don't know. So here's my thing. Disney and Marvel both have like a long, rich history of, stories, media, and let's be honest, it's altered the way society runs. Like Disney princesses taught people, hey, as a woman, I should, be treated a certain way. X-Men has pushed forward conversations about racial equality. Like comic books have altered the way people have lived their lives, right? And though I just said this after Safe and Sound, that was one facet, whereas Marvel, Disney have pushed cultural changes forward,
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I think her songs and actions have sparked conversation, but I don't know if it's on the level of a Disney or a Marvel. But, what do I know? I just read comics.
Well, I mean, I think it's like, again, it's like talking about lemons or tomatoes kind of situation. I think, like, I get the sentiment that compared to other pop stars right now, like, she's untouchable today. But I don't think she has yet, like, infiltrated the world of, like, Disney, Marvel, and all that. I do think the Eras Tour movie was definitely a step towards that. But, like, until she puts out the movie that she's allegedly producing and has written and things like that, I just don't think, like, it's a equivalent.
Well, and to your point, like, think about this. They've been making comics since the 1950s. Probably even earlier than that.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's been making comics since then. There are millions, there's hundreds of runs of different comics like Spider-Man, whatever, Disney has been making movies and animation. Like they've literally pushed the boundary of animation and they've caused other people around them, other industries around them to level up to match that.
Mm-hmm.
And though I think other pop stars are leveling up, like she hasn't created a new sound. Like Disney has created new forms of animation because you never saw digital animation before Disney, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, but again, I think that's why it's like not an equivalent conversation because, like, I mean, I guess she could create a new sound, but that's not really like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the same kind of commentary for her.
It's not the same kind of commentary. So it's like you can't hold her to the same equivalence of a Disney or Marvel because, like you said, it's lemons and apples. And also, again, they have a rich history.
Yeah.
Like
I think when we look back, when history looks back on this time period of her career and just her entire 18-year, as of today, her career is 18 years old. When they look back on it 100 years from now, I think it will be potentially at a level of the same historicness. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's just a different realm.
Well, will they look at her as the same level of historicness, using your word that isn't a word, as, say, a Disney or Marvel, or would they compare her to things like the Beatles, which is a little bit different?
Well, I just think if you think of like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Elvis, like all those people, like she's so untouchable. Like there has to be something you can compare her to, and you can't. I mean, they pale in comparison.
Well, and here's the other thing, and this is my gripe about a lot of things. You don't have to compare things to other existing structures. Give her her own lane. She deserves it. Like, she's built up enough to do that. Why do we have to compare her to Disney when we can just say, hey, she's something new. This is her lane now. And other people need to strive to get to that lane.
Agreed. Agreed. She is the music industry, as they say. As they say. All right, let's switch gears from Taylor talk and let's talk about Rap Wars. Becca and I have only briefly talked about this because it's not really our lane per se. But you and I have talked a lot about this. We both have very strong feelings, differing feelings. We're talking about, if you don't know, the Kendrick Lamar and Drake rap war that has occurred. So I've got two basic questions that are in the agenda, but I have a lot of other questions and a lot of thoughts. So let's get started with the first part. Who do you think has won this rap war, Drake or Kendrick, and why do you think they won?
Okay. Here's the thing. I think ultimately Kendrick won. I think Drake's
stunned that you have come around.
I will say this. Here's my initial problem with Kendrick's music. It was shocking. The verses were great, but the production value on the songs weren't not awesome until I heard 616 in LA, and that song is perfect. Like, it has the right kind of feel. It's so soulful, and it is a perfectly made song. The transitions between certain verses is great. So I will say ultimately Kendrick won, but there are still some situations that need explaining for me. Like, I need an explanation. Did he hit his wife?
Okay.
Like, why aren't they living together? Did she cheat on him? Did she have a baby with another man that he's been raising as his child?
Okay.
Also, I won't say the only reason. The main reason he won is because the accusation of hiding another child and the possible the accusation of being a pedophile, those two things, like that, anything Drake could say, that's trumped it now. Like, you said some very, especially in the era that we're in, where R. Kelly's gone to jail, Bill Cosby's gone to jail, like all these people are going to jail for these things, and this is like top of mind. We kind of put all the things that Drake said about him hitting his wife and stuff to the side. Like, no, you need to answer these questions, Drake. Are you doing these things? And honestly, Drake's sensitivity about the accusations and everything that was said, even if it isn't true, it makes your mind wonder if it is true. Plus, the things that Kendrick said made you actually go research. And when you research, you see other unsavory things, not necessarily the things that Kendrick said. Well, some of the things that Kendrick said, because I think he did take one of the Hadid sisters out to dinner when she was like 16, which is weird. But like, you start seeing all these unsettling things around his business and the way he treats his artists that he signs. And so it's kind of like Drake is suspicious because of his past actions, but also it makes you see all these other things that you didn't necessarily think about until you research it after Kendrick said it. You know?
Well, I am shocked that you picked Kendrick because I have said since day one, and on this show, Becca and I both are Kendrick stans. So I am shocked, but I actually have come up with 5 reasons why I think Kendrick won.
Okay.
Number 1, I feel like he was sneaky. I felt like it was a sneak attack. So basically, in my opinion, Kendrick was pretty quiet since his big Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers tour broke all those records. It feels like he's been really quiet. Now, for us that are Taylor fans, we know he's been in the studio with Taylor, so we're good with that. But I feel like this was kind of out of nowhere-ish. But I also think, going to number 2, it was a waiting game. So again, I think there was a lot of like strategy to Kendrick's attack because Drake was really in a tough spot. Before he could even respond to Kendrick, Future and Metro dropped another album that featured a lot of artists that allegedly all have problems with Drake. The Weeknd, A$AP Rocky. And so I feel like Drake was in a really bad spot then, and Kendrick said nothing during all the other beefs that were going on. He was just kind of like waiting like a snake. Number 3. I felt like he took a page from what I'm calling the Pusha T school of character assassination. So Kendrick, when he dropped Euphoria, it to me was very obvious this was going to be really different than the other like rap wars we've had. I mean, obviously no one was going to die. We're not back in the 90s, but it was the most similar to when Pusha T and Drake got into it. And, you know, Pusha worked really methodically to break down exactly why he believed Drake was not who he was portraying himself to be. And I feel like Kendrick did just that too. So you mentioned 616 in LA, which of course we love because of Jack Antonoff, but Kendrick was playing mind games. Like he literally was using timestamps and locations for that title.
Yeah.
Which is something that Drake does.
Yeah.
But also he like plants these seeds about, is there a mole in Drake's camp? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The song's artwork. Like a lot of what happened with 616 in LA, and this is a little bit speculative, but Kendrick being in Taylor's circle, working with Taylor in the studio, Jack Antonoff producing this, 616 in LA is totally a page out of Taylor's book because the song's artwork featuring those black leather Maubec gloves, and then things like, have you ever thought that OVO is working for me? When he's like warning Drake's entourage, I don't know, it's very Taylor-esque. I'm not saying she's involved, but I don't know.
All right. I can see that.
Then number 4, I felt like he out-Draked Drake. So only 2 of Drake's songs that he put out in this whole thing really focused on Lamar or on Kendrick. I called him Lamar.
Mr. Lamar to you, Mr.
Yeah.
Lamar.
But Kendrick stuff, laser focused on Drake. And then also the way that they released everything. Drake tried to use that same strategy that he used back when he and Meek Mill had whatever. Almost like he was like begging Kendrick to put another song out. I don't know. But he wasn't ready. I just don't think he was ready for like what was coming and the foreshadowing and 616, all of that. And then when he rolled out like Family Matters with that whole little short film, Kendrick Lamar was able to stop that in its tracks by dropping Meet the Grams. Then having the club banger like Not Like Us, like that song can be played everywhere. And the NBA Finals just happened. It was literally played every single game.
Yeah.
Which was totally a Drake move, but Kendrick stole it. And then I think number 5, just like having the song that went number 1. Not Like Us. Like, again, it can be played everywhere. But I think Kendrick did what Nas couldn't do with that song. To unseat Jay-Z back in the day, he was able to do with Drake. And so those are my 5 reasons why I think Kendrick won.
Okay, so let's tackle your number 1 reason.
Okay.
What did you say your number 1 reason once again?
So number 1 was the sneakiness, the sneak attack.
Okay, so yes. You say it was a sneak attack. This has been brewing for years, ever since Kendrick dropped that.
Which is totally a Taylor thing too. I'm telling you, I think that there is potential Taylor. I think she and Kendrick talk.
Because here's the thing. What people don't realize is when he dropped Control way back when, it ruffled a lot of people's feathers. So then you see the cipher on BET Music Awards where he says, you know, tuck the sensitive rapper back into his pajama clothes. Right? So like the beef's been brewing. Then you find out that Element was going to be a completely different song, and it had a diss for Big Sean and Drake in it. Like, so I think this has been brewing for years, and he finally just said, you know what? Let's go there. Let's go there. And what most people don't realize is, like, that whole "I don't like the way you dress, the way you walk," that's a reference to DMX,
Yep.
an interview he did way back when. Like, I feel like he's been waiting for this moment, but like he couldn't do it because he was a conscious rapper. So then
Yep.
he drops Mr. Morale, where he says, "I'm not your savior," meaning I can be petty too. That was the runway to say, "All right, I'm gonna be petty now."
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like he could have done it any time before that. You couldn't do it when you dropped To Pimp a Butterfly. You couldn't do it when you dropped the Untitled album. You couldn't do it when you dropped Damn. Like, when can you do it? Because you're supposedly the savior of hip hop, and you're this activist.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
So
I
why
think
do you think? Why do you think, or do you think that this rap war was significant to the hip hop genre or era of this music? Do you think it was significant? And if so, why? And if you don't think it's significant, why not?
okay. I think it was significant only in the fact that it made everyone hyped for rap again.
Yeah.
Because I think in an era where you have all these mumble rappers and these people that aren't saying anything, people are going off of vibes, they're not really listening to lyrics. This made you listen to every single lyric and try to figure it out on both ends.
Yeah.
So that was a win. But I don't think it pushed the genre forward. I don't think it was significant as 90s rap wars, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Also, no one's career is ultimately ruined, you know? Drake is going to ruin his own career if he keeps acting all sensitive about this stuff while trying to pretend he's not angry or frustrated and he's unbothered. And I do feel like, though, this is going to force Drake to be a better rapper. And it showed that Kendrick is more than just a conscious rapper. Just think about this. People are literally afraid to mention Kendrick's name now.
Yeah.
Literally afraid. Like, the SNL skit where Colin traded a joke with Michael Shea, where he was talking about Kendrick, and the moment he said the first joke, he's like, "No, no, no, no." And then when he said the whole line of jokes, he said, "I don't like this at all." He was afraid. That's different. But in all of this, you know who the biggest winner is? The biggest winner.
Who?
Guess. J. Cole. That man,
Okay.
that man is riding his bicycle in New York with no worries right now. He is sitting on the beach with no worries. Like, he made the right choice and he got out of that because I think he thought it was gonna be a friendly spar. I don't think he knew the vitriol on both sides
Yeah.
behind all of it, you know?
Yeah. I could agree with that. Okay, well, I'm shocked that we ended on the same person winning.
Yes.
But it's because it's the right answer. All right, let's switch gears to the question game.
Yeah.
Some of these, so we have been totally shocked that we've been getting audience questions.
Mhm.
And so I accidentally forgot to put that on here, which one it is, but I only picked one for today because a lot of them are very specific for Becca and I. So next week's episode with Becca, or that will be 2 weeks episode, has a ton of them. But for you, would you rather attend a Chiefs game or a Royals game, and why?
I would rather attend a Royals game, even though I love the Chiefs, mainly for these reasons. The parking is easy. Stadium entry is easy. Seating is easy. Like, if those weren't issues, I would go to a Chiefs game all day, but it is so hard to even get into the stadium when it's a Chiefs game.
Yeah. Um, I do love the ease of the Royals game and the ticket price. I enjoy like $40, and we're like literally you can reach out and touch a player.
Yes.
So I do love that, but I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs. Let's be honest, it's
But
my favorite.
why? But why?
The whole atmosphere. It's a lot like the Eras Tour. For me, like the whole atmosphere, being inside Arrowhead, like the chants, just like seeing the team, um, the fans, obviously, and the element that comes with that. There's just a big difference of seeing it all in real life. Like hearing, like being able to actually hear like the helmets slap when they tackle each other and like the roar when somebody scores. I don't know. Just the whole thing is my favorite part of the year.
And it probably doesn't hurt that Taylor's up in the box. In the
Sure. Yeah, I do love that part too. Okay. Would you rather own a stake in a professional sports team or an entertainment entity like a Disney, and why? And if you pick a sports team, what sport and why?
I would rather own a large stake in an entertainment entity like Disney or Marvel, and
Okay.
strictly so that I could have some say in the media they put out. Because let's be honest, a lot of the Marvel stuff that's been put out in the last year or two has been lackluster. And I
Mm-hmm.
would like to kind of have a little bit more control over just saying, hey, this may not be a good idea. Not to mention, Blade hasn't been made yet, and like it was talked about in 2019, and it's 2024, and it hasn't been made yet. Is crazy. And so
So
I
that's
would
actually why I did not pick the entertainment entity.
really,
Because I find that it would be incredibly frustrating to maybe have a voice in it, but still not be able to control it completely.
yeah. But think about the team aspect of it. Team ownership, that's chaotic. You got to deal with all the ins and
Well,
the
it
outs
depends on
and the
what kind
people.
of, so I did pick own a professional entity and I did pick owning an NFL team. But I need ownership like Jerry Jones has. Like, I need all the money so I can do whatever I want to do, but I also need full control like Jerry has. Now, Jerry running the Cowboys into the ground, but I would not do
Okay.
that when I own something. So, yeah, I need full
Uh,
ownership.
would you want to deal with all of the backlash publicly that he has to deal with if somebody doesn't agree with what you did?
Well, if he would make better decisions, there would be less backlash.
But there's always going to be somebody that hates your decision, no matter what decision's made, and
I
they're
don't
going to
know.
talk about it in the media because you're a public personality. Not to mention, he had to deal with Terrell Owens
Well, I mean,
and his personality issues. Like,
he had a lot of things. I mean, Des Bryant.
yeah,
Okay. Would you rather attend the Eras Tour again or have season tickets to a Kansas City professional team, and why?
Eras Tour all day, every day.
Okay.
And
Wow.
here's why. It was an exciting event, and it was nice seeing all the people being kind to each other, all the level of unity, and life has seemed not as exciting after, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I could agree with that completely.
And just
Yeah, same.
karma at the end.
Yeah.
It makes everything okay.
Would you rather be an actor or a musician?
I'd rather be an actor. It's easier for me to get inside the mindset of other people, so I can play somebody else. Because
Yeah.
you know me well enough to know that I always reflect and kind of try to see other people's viewpoints, and so I'm always trying to figure out why people made choices and what choices they possibly would make. So doing acting is just taking that a step up. But learning an instrument and playing all these different songs and memorizing them, nah, I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I picked being a musician because I would love to tour and like see the world that way. But I guess when you're making movies, you could make movies on different locations too. But like I think about the Eras tour and like all the places they've been. Like they were in Cardiff yesterday. They were in London all this weekend. Like I just think it
Yeah.
would be super fun.
Well, think about this though. For as a musician, you could actually get put into a 360 deal where you don't actually make any money. Whereas an actor, like you're going, especially if you get your name up, you're going to get the millions and you're going to get like part of the distribution deal and all these other things.
Yeah.
It's a safer route than a musician because you could get locked into like a deal like Drake was, where you had to release 10 albums and he was
Well, yeah.
not
Like
going to pay.
I need to be Taylor. I don't need to just be like some random Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. This is our audience question of the day. If you could cast someone to play you in a movie, who would it be and why?
I'll let you go first.
I picked okay, so I picked okay, this is super confusing probably, but I picked two people. I picked Kate Winslet because when I do those celebrity look-alike things, it always tells me Kate Winslet, even though I don't agree with that. it also says Queen Latifah, and that's clearly off. So, but that's why I picked Kate Winslet. For a long time, she was my favorite actress too. And then if I'm going with like my all-time favorite of everything right now, Blake Lively. She just doesn't look anything like me, so.
Okay, so my thing was, am I going sexy or am I going comedic?
Okay.
So if I'm going comedic, I'm choosing Danny McBride or Childish Gambino. Danny
Okay.
McBride because he is hilarious,
Okay.
hilarious, and I think that he could bring out the comedy aspects better than anybody else. Or Childish Gambino because Donald Glover is funny as well. But if I'm going sexy, Idris Elba because he's the only person in the world that can be as sexy as me. He matches my hotness, you
God,
know.
blessed assurance. Okay, got it. All right. Okay. This is kind of like the either or. Who would you pick and why? Um, so we're obviously starting out big here. Like at least we're not in the order I would have thought. Okay. Blake Lively or Taylor Swift?
Taylor all day.
I need to also preface, normally when we do this, we always preface too that we're not talking about looks. So just throwing that out there.
Oh,
Okay.
I never even thought about looks in this situation.
Okay. Blake
Taylor
or Taylor?
Swift. Taylor Swift. She seems like she's a lot more fun. I've seen Blake. She's always the mother in a situation. Number two, I don't even think I've ever even seen a movie that Blake Lively's been in besides Green Lantern. We know how well that went. So,
Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. You need to see The Town.
is it a romantic comedy?
No.
Then I'm not seeing it. Like it's either got to be romantic comedy, action, or comic book movie.
It's action. The Town is action. Okay, well, I of course picked Blake Lively. We've had this question before, and I always pick Blake Lively. I think because of I love her personality. I think she's so fun. I love that she is kind of the mother of the group, but then also I think she and Ryan are just geniuses when it comes to business. And so
but Taylor is as well, because
I agree. No, it's always a tough one.
Nick Saban met her once and he diversified his portfolio after that, and he got a lot of money.
It's true. All right, Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman?
How do I say this? Deadpool all day. Deadpool all day. I'll just say it. The Proposal. Two guys in a pizza place. Free Guy. Hugh has made some really great movies, but I resonate more with the movies that, Ryan has made. Not to mention, again, he just seems like such a cool guy to hang around. I mean, Hugh Jackman has made really awesome movies. Really awesome movies.
So I went with Ryan for a lot of the same reasons I went with Blake, but I think I do prefer his movies. I don't. This might be the spicy take of the day. I don't know. I don't like Hugh Jackman. And I know that he's like best friends with all of them, and so I should, because that's like my dream is to be a part of their friend group. But yeah, I don't vibe with him at all. But also, like, again, Ryan's business sense, not just his movies, like, impeccable. And he just seems like a really solid human being.
He made Wolverine 2 and Logan. Wasn't he in The Prestige?
Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Chris Hemsworth or Robert Downey Jr.?
Iron Man all day. Weird Science, all the 80s movies, Sherlock Holmes. Come on. What has Chris Hemsworth done that has been noteworthy besides that new movie he's doing now that's like from the Mad Max universe and Thor?
Yeah, I went Robert Downey Jr. as well, based on acting alone. If this was looks, we know that Chris Hemsworth is mine.
I still think Robert Downey Jr. could get it.
Oh, that's a spice. That might be the spicy take of the day. I don't know.
Because Chris Hemsworth has muscles. Robert Downey Jr. was muscular in Iron Man, and he has a swagger. Just saying.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce?
Patrick Mahomes with the dad bod. I just can't do it. I'd have to do Travis Kelce because he has a lot of fun. He throws DJ parties and concerts, and it would just be fun being around that energy.
Yeah. We've had this question before, and I feel like I can't remember how I've answered, but I'm going Trav. I Again, business sense. I think he's got the right people around him. But what I always say about Travis that is my favorite thing about him is that he brings everyone with him.
Yes.
Everyone that he is friends with from when they were literally in kindergarten are still his best friends. They're all in business together. He brings everybody with him. And that's just not that Patrick doesn't. I think Patrick's an incredible human. It's just that's a tough
Yeah.
one.
And he purposely missaid our name and called us Dingleberries. That's worth it.
Sure. Rihanna or Doja Cat?
I want you to tell me what you think I'm going to say.
This is tough because you used to be a big Doja Cat stan. I feel like you've backed off a little bit from that.
I've never backed off. I'm still a Doja Cat
I was
stan.
going to say, I'm assuming you're still going to go Doja Cat, which is
Like,
the wrong answer, but go
it's
ahead.
not the wrong answer. She has really great music. She has a great sense of humor. And not to mention, she did Roddy Rich's The Box in chainmail in an Elizabethan accent.
Yeah.
It was, if you watch that video, I challenge you not to laugh because it is hilarious.
So I'm never going to go Doja Cat. I've said before on here, and I stand by this, if you have to have the weird aesthetic to be your vibe, I'm just out. Like, that's not my thing.
But she
Also,
doesn't have to have it to be her vibe. That's just who she is.
yeah, it's just not my thing. And the way she goes after her fans, like, I'm just not here for that. Plus, I just think Rihanna is iconic. So,
That's fair.
all
Why
right.
is she iconic though to you?
I think, like, okay, when was the last time Rihanna really put out music? She just said the other day she has a new hairline that has come out with Fenty, and somebody asked her about her album, and she said, you know what? I'm actually going back in the studio and redoing the whole thing. She's so methodical about what she does. So, when she puts something out, like, there's a lot that went to it. The only thing that I can fault Rihanna on, well, two things I can fault Rihanna on. Well, three things I can fault Rihanna on. The Chris Brown incident, he was so wrong, but she escalated that situation. Also, the ASAP Rocky situation, I don't know. I just have bad vibes there. And then the way that she just played along with Calvin Harris when they released This Is What I Came For, when clearly Taylor wrote the song. And we all know that now, but the way she played the game with Calvin, I thought was scummy. But
and she doesn't seem like she would be fun to be around. Like, Doja Cat,
I have questions about her character, but far less questions about her character than Doja Cat.
How dare you? Let's get to the next question. Let's get to it.
All right. Kendrick Lamar, Drake.
Kendrick. And here's the thing. And I've always said this.
You've come to the dark side.
No. I've always been a Kendrick fan. And here's what I'll say. He wasn't wrong when he said he makes music that electrifies us versus Drake makes music that pacifies us. Like, unless it's old Drake hasn't touched on any of his personal issues or anything in a long time. Kendrick has made songs that made me cry. And Drake basically makes songs that make me not think about consequences or responsibilities. YOLO. So, yeah, Kendrick for the win.
Yeah, it's Kendrick all day, every day for me. Huge Kendrick stan. Been very vocal about that on here. I just think his music's better. I wouldn't call Drake's not a one-hit wonder, but he's like a one shtick kind of wonder. Like,
now he is.
Yeah,
he wasn't like that in the past.
Yeah. Okay, Marvel or DC?
Are we talking movies or comics?
It's
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Marvel all day long. Like, they make better movies.
I was like, is that even really like relevant?
They make better movies, but here's the problem. DC has better writing and their characters have more depth, but Marvel has cooler characters by far. Like, only in Marvel can you have a person that can alter to reality around them and they not be the strongest person in that universe. Like, you can have a person that can make your sandwich turn into a cup of coffee and they're still not the strongest person in that universe. It's crazy.
Well, my disdain for Superman, which I know bothers you. So there's no way I could ever pick DC. Like, I just love so many characters in the Marvel universe, so many actors that play those characters. Some of the storylines, it's far better to me.
I don't understand why you hate. Do you hate all that's good in the world? Like,
basically.
okay.
Captain America or Iron Man? I don't know what you're going to say here because I feel like we've had disagreements on this in the past.
Captain America is not my cap anymore, and here's why. Captain America represents a facade about America that I don't even think exists anymore. Like that America that he represents, I don't think it exists anymore. He represents what America should be, but again, it isn't. Also, as a comic book character, he has let me down as a hero, and here's why. When the X-Men were getting killed by terrorist organizations like the Friends of Humanity, when the government started the Sentinel program and Sentinels were hunting down mutants and putting them in slave situations on Genosha, he did nothing. And he had friends that are mutants, and he did nothing. You never saw them. And then the moment the X-Men said, hey, we're just going to separate, they got on their own island, they got some power. Guess who shows up at the door to stop them? The Avengers. Cap. He's there to stop them. So I'm just saying, I never expected anything out of the Iron Man other than to just do what he wants to do because he's been an alcoholic in the comics. He's always just kind of done his own thing. So he hasn't disappointed me like Cap has. So Iron Man all day long, any situation.
I'm confused because I do believe you have told me before that Iron Man is not a superhero.
Oh, he's not a superhero. He's
okay.
not.
Okay.
But it's because the comics portray him as a regular human who just chooses to do good things. But he's done a lot of bad things too. But his good has outweighed the bad that he's done. So he's just a human. He's not really just a hero. Cap portrays himself as this person, and it's like he hasn't lived up to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go Iron Man. It's my favorite. I have the same feelings about Captain America. I feel let down by him. Also, like, I never am drawn to characters that are like the goody goody two shoes, and that's how he comes across in some of those movies. And then also it now not being Chris Evans is problematic for me. So,
well, even with it being Chris Evans, like you gave Sam Wilson the shield without any connotation or thought about what that meant and what came before that. And I think I love that show because it pointed all that out. Like you just blindly did stuff without actually thinking about what it means or the consequences, you know?
Thor or Loki?
Loki all day. The series made me love him even more, but like Thor is just boring. If you really look at it, he had a lot of good character development in the movies, but other than that, like he's kind of a one-trick pony like Drake. Um Loki really, especially in the TV series and in the comics, he's had a lot of development, a lot of growth, and he has sacrificed more than anybody will ever know because like he became the center point of all these realities and no one's going to know about that. It's a thankless job and nobody knows about it, and he sacrificed himself to do it.
Yeah, this may surprise you. I actually went with Loki too. Now we're talking looks. We know I'm going Thor.
We said we we're talking about looks.
I know. I'm just saying if we were. But no, I think the storylines and the writing is just so much better in Loki. There's just so much more depth to it.
Yeah, I can agree.
And Tom Hiddleston was not a bad boyfriend to Taylor, so.
Was Chris wasn't even a boyfriend though.
No, exactly. He didn't
can't hold that against him.
Yeah. Well, it happens. Drake or Jay-Z?
Okay. From a simple numbers perspective, Drake all day. Like in no situation has Jay-Z been at the top of the charts. Like he's never been a number one person. Like he's had good songs here and there, but he's always been eclipsed by DMX, Lil Wayne, Drake, DMX, Lil Wayne, Nelly. The list keeps going on. T.I. When Drake puts out albums, he's usually top of the charts. So from a strictly numbers perspective, yes. Reasonable Doubt, everybody said that's a classic. It's garbage to me. I got 2 songs on there I like. And up until his Black album, I can find 3 songs at most on each album that I like. After Black album, it's great. And I ponder the question, if Kanye wasn't involved, in those, would he have had hits? Because most of his iconic hits, Kanye made the beat. Just saying. Start it out there.
Well, that is spicy too. Well, you know I'm gonna go Jay-Z, which always frustrates you.
Yes, and I don't get it, but I let you have your
I
point.
just am not a Drake person. I think too, from a business perspective, Jay-Z is just far smarter.
But he's gotten to where he is in business by messing over the people that he did business with. There's a reason why
I didn't
Dame
say
Dash
there was
isn't-
integrity to his business. I
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm
said
saying.
that
There's a reason Dame Dash is angry at him. There's a reason his brother doesn't talk to him. There's a reason a lot of people, Benny Siegel doesn't deal with him anymore. There's a reason for a lot of those things.
I think history will not look back fondly on Jay-Z, but
No,
we'll see.
not at all.
Biggie or Tupac?
This was tough because Biggie is a really good writer. He's a writer of stories.
Right when you were saying writer, one of the dogs barked, so it sounded like you barked. I was like, I didn't say anything about DMX.
I know. I love DMX too, though. But Biggie was a better writer of stories. But Tupac was a person that made you feel something. And he actually talked about issues that plague Black community. So I'm going to say Tupac, plus Hit 'Em Up was just brutal. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah, I went Tupac. I think it's the writing. I don't know. It would just have been so interesting to see if we could have gotten full careers from both of them. If I think, and this is speculative, but I think if we had gotten full careers, I think Tupac's career would have had more longevity.
Well, that being said, we kind of did get a full career from Tupac because let's just be honest, Tupac
Is he still
released.
alive?
No, stop it. That's speculative.
I didn't know. Sorry.
That's speculative. He is not alive, but he made hundreds of songs. Like they still have hundreds of songs they haven't even released yet. So
when he drops that album from Wakanda, it's going to be crazy.
Okay, Wakanda isn't a thing. Wakanda isn't a thing. Tupac isn't alive. There's no
Kanye or J. Cole?
This is gonna be a spicy take, so I'm just ready to deal with it.
Oh boy,
Kanye all day, and here's why: there wouldn't be a J. Cole if there wasn't a Kanye. Even if he has lost his mind, his music has changed the way people think. He called out rappers for being homophobic. He made it cool to dress like a college kid. He talked about the opulence and the way people like glorify items over true, genuine people. Can you remember It All Falls Down?
Mm-hmm.
He brought people to Jesus with gospel rap, his gospel rap album and Sunday service, minus all the controversy. He opened the lane for J. Cole to be conscious because conscious rap wasn't doing well until Kanye made it cool. Also, he shot Drake's first video and kind of put Drake out there in the first place. He even helped breathe life into Talib Kweli's and Common's careers after their time had passed. Not to mention his instrumentals and features are on almost every song that you like. And he's made some of the beats for some of Jay-Z's most iconic songs. Watch the Throne was crazy. Dark Twisted Fantasy was crazy. College Dropout was crazy. Graduation was crazy. Like, name an album that really wasn't good that he made.
He just is a terrible human.
You know, that's part of being human. Sometimes we have things about us that are ugly. But that being said, like, J. Cole has really good stuff, but he's made some conscious rap, but he hasn't pushed conversation forward that changed the way you think about things.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that is spicy. Especially on this show. All right. So this is your first Y Factor segment. So in the Y Factor, we pick something that we like, something that we don't like, and why. And this could be anything. And it has been all over the place in every week. So we start with the bad so we can go out with the good. What is something you are not liking right now and why?
Pick an issue. There's so many. No, I'm kidding. I think, and this is personal, I think this season of life with our family right now It's something I don't like. I don't like some of the situations that happen, not of our making, but of other people's making. And I'm angry, and there's no way to truly get that anger out. And so that's frustrating. That's frustrating right now.
Yeah. I've had that answer several times lately.
Yes.
So today I'm going with celebrities that drive themselves. I will never understand when celebrities or rich people get DUIs. Like, do you not have Uber money?
Well,
Like,
especially when you're
you're
doing
famous. You
drugs.
could hitchhike and someone would actually pick you up.
Well, especially when you're doing drugs. Like, just stop.
So we're not going to speculate on what happened this week, but obviously it's public news that Justin Timberlake was arrested. We'll see what happens with all of that. But yeah, it constantly comes up on here. Rasheed Rice, like, why are we racing down the interstate in Dallas? Like, get a driver. Like,
Yeah.
this will never understand.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that doesn't make sense at all. Actually, I got one more.
Okay.
Taxes. Every other country sends you a bill telling you what your tax amount is. We're the only country where they know the tax amount that you owe them, but they say, hey, you try to figure it out too. And then you send it to them, and they're like, nah, this ain't right. Like, come on, man. Just tell me what I owe you.
Well, special shout out to the show's favorite governor. She just lowered the taxes in Arkansas.
Yes.
Right when we moved. That's our only beef, is that you waited till we moved.
Yeah, I know. Love her, by the way.
All right, so we end on something good. What are you liking right now and why?
I'm liking our new city, and I'm liking this show called Extraordinary on Hulu.
Okay.
It is about a girl who, in a world full of people with superpowers, didn't get one. And she has a rivalry with her sister, who's like the goody two shoes. You wouldn't like her. And she got a power. And so it's her trying to figure her way out in a world where she is completely different. It is hilarious. Hilarious.
Okay, that's a good one. We'll have to put that in the show notes. Okay, so I have two. It was actually two interviews that came out this week. First one was with Sabrina Carpenter. She did an interview with Rolling Stone. Sabrina's really on a fever pitch point of her career right now. I think in large part due to her time on the Eras Tour. But two things that she brought up in that interview that I freaking love. Number one, we always stand Jack Antonoff on this show. And you have joined the world of Jack Antonoff lovers as well with 616 in LA.
Yeah.
And so it's come out. Sabrina has a new album coming out, and it's come out that Jack is producing about half of it, I think, maybe a little bit more. And of course, people on Twitter instantly were like, oh, it's going to have all this synth, and started hating on Jack the way they did when TTPD came out. And she basically said, fuck them. Literally, that's what she said. And I love that she stands Jack the way we do and the way Taylor does, because he is iconic and he's a genius, and the people that hate on him are stupid. So that's one thing.
I agree.
I also like that Sabrina took the Skims question head on. So there was all this hoopla. Sabrina Carpenter was in a Skims ad maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And of course, people tried to create beef, like, oh, why is somebody in Taylor's world doing something with Kim Kardashian? And Sabrina said, listen, I didn't shy away from the conversation. I talked to Taylor about the entire thing. It's not weird with us. I talked to her through the entire process. And so I like, first of all, that she had the emotional intelligence to have that conversation instead of just trying to make a buck. And I have said before on this show, I do think there's something to the fact that so many people in Taylor's world are in Skims ads right now. If you watch the show, you know I have theories that Kim may be a part of Reputation, Taylor's version, but we'll see. And then the second one is an interview that Gracie Abrams did with Billboard. And so one of the things that we always say on the show is we don't speculate, but we love when celebrities confirm stuff for us and when they tell us stuff. And there was a picture that came out before Taylor announced TBD and before Gracie announced her new album that comes out this Friday. And it's Gracie laying on the floor completely, you can tell, completely like shocked and in awe, and Taylor's laughing. And so everyone was dying to know, what is this about? Like, you know, what's going on? Well, then TTBD was announced, so everyone assumed Gracie was on it. She wasn't. Gracie has been on the Eras Tour and will be again when they're back in the States. And it's obviously, we know Friday when Story of Us comes out that she and Taylor wrote a song called Us together, and Taylor is on it. And she explained that the story was right when she heard about, or right when she first got to hear the song, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, and she was blown away. So I just appreciate confirming things for us because we're always dying to know. But that's about it. That kind of wraps up Whyspace. Arron, how was your first experience?
It was pretty awesome. And I will also double down on that Jack Antonoff love. He
Always.
Honestly, 616 was more soulful than some of the stuff Kanye's even made. And that's saying something. So, yes, we'll double down on that.
And no one hates Kanye more publicly than Jack. So that's a great way to end it.
Yeah. Well, if he keeps making beats like that, I'll start hating Kanye too. But no, I enjoyed my time here. We're going to have a lot more conversations, especially about your Jay-Z love after this. So,
whatever. All right. Well, thanks for listening, y'all, and give us a follow wherever you consume our content. Thanks for listening.